is my official first fiction book video, and I'm so excited. I want to share with you guys the three books that just recently I've read in the past like 3-4 weeks that have gotten me back into reading fiction. Hold on, this is not gonna work. Let's ignore that. Okay, that was really hurting my head. I'm not gonna be hard on myself, but also I'm kind of hard on myself because I'm like, how in the world did I stop reading fiction? And I get we all go through seasons and stuff, but like it was just so deeply woven into like not who I was, but like what made me, I don't know, just see the world differently by reading fictional stories. And then I just lost that like magic in a way. Obviously I was really sick. I know, I was dying. I get it. But at the same time, I'm like, well, at least I made it back here. That's the most important part. So these three books got me back here. I'll do them in the order that I read them. So the first book was The Academy, and it is still November. So I highly recommend this. I mean, you can read it whenever. It's kind of like Gossip Girl vibes, but not as intense. It takes place at a boarding school, and there's a lot of different characters, and it's third person point of view, so you're kind of hearing from each character very quickly. Didn't love that because I wasn't used to it. That really was my only thing. Once I got used to that style, I was like, oh, okay, what's this? But then I would find myself while I'm going to the next person's point of view and what's happening, thinking about the other one. And I guess I don't think that's a bad thing maybe, but kind of like wondering, oh, well, I wonder what could have happened if that scene in my mind in the book would have gone on further, but they're pretty short. The story is really good. It keeps you hooked. The characters, I don't know, I really liked them. I like the main character. Her name is Charlie, which is cute. So yeah, and there's little horsies. We love horses throughout the book, so that just gives it, you know, a real like Ralph Lauren feel, but it takes place over the course of the school year. So time frame wise, so it's quick, school year, juicy stuff happens. It is, I would say it's not at all like spicy, anything like that. That is another thing. That's the one thing that now that I'm starting to review fiction books is really important to me, to let you guys know what is actually in the books that I'm recommending, because I have found it just depends on who I'm listening to, what I'm watching. I don't watch a lot of, there's like 1 to 2 YouTubers that I follow and will look at the books that they're recommending, but they don't even really talk about spice level. And then there's the extreme of like Christian women who are just like no spice, none of that, closed door, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's just like extremes, and I feel like I'm kind of somewhere in the middle where sometimes I'm okay with reading a book and skipping over it if the story is really good, and sometimes it's like ACOTAR, for example. Even if the story's that good, it's too explicit for me. And it's like, oh, just skip over it. And it's like, it's in it quite a bit where it's like, why am I reading this? I'm having to just skim. And then if I see something that I don't necessarily want to expose myself to, just my personal convictions, nothing else, is like, yeah, it's not worth it. But then, for example, The Love Hypothesis, there's only 2 chapters, and it was very easy to skip those 2 chapters to then be able to experience the whole story, and it was really good. So that's kind of where I lie in the spice, no spice, smutty. I think reading super explicit things, I bet you can tell by now, is not my jam. I don't like that. It doesn't make me feel good personally, and not good for my marriage. I think it's basically, you know, the equivalent to what men look at if we're just reading it. So that's my opinion. So as far as book recommendations from here on out, I will let you know. And I will be like, this was too much, you could skip this. I'm not going to create a niche of like only fiction closed door books, or yeah, I just read smutty books and it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't know. I'm going to find myself somewhere in between in how I tell you guys and what I read and don't read and what I'm okay with, because it's too much, which I have been seeing a lot, that like even in like young adult books, which is so sad because that's also how I started to like continue loving reading after I read Harry Potter when I was little. And apparently it's like in a ton of young adult books in a different way, but like I don't like that. Anyway, kind of already did this book, but this one, I guess it's going to be turned into a movie. It's so good. I love her writing. It's a romance book. And student dating a teacher in college. It's not like weird, not like that. But they're fake dating. You have to put, so you can kind of guess how it ends. But it is actually really good and I liked it. I've never read anything in terms of like they're scientists. Had a lot of like mentions about deeper things going on with the main character, with her and her mom. I really liked that. So, The Academy, The Love Hypothesis. I'll put those in the description. And then this one was probably my favorite of all three. And I just need the next one to come out. It's a series, Alchemy of Secrets. Apparently she is a young adult writer, which I don't think she writes any explicit stuff in her young adult stuff. I'll have to read them. I've heard that they're really good, but this was so good. It's her first, Stephanie Garber's first adult fantasy book, and I fell in love with it. It has magic in it, but it's modern day, and this girl basically, her parents both have died. She's a twin, and she is really into like folklore and like urban myths. She lives in LA, and basically she comes across meeting this man who ends up telling her when she's gonna die, which is wild. And could you imagine that? That's why the Lord does not tell us, because I would be unwell. And she has to find this certain thing so that she won't die. And all the characters she meets along the way, she doesn't know if she can trust them. Like, even as the reader, you're like, oh yeah, you can totally trust that person. And then 3 or 4 pages later, it's like, wait, no, I don't think that you can. Don't do that. Do that. And it's just so good. And it's not spicy at all. There's like mild mentions of like, you know, oh, he kissed me. And I cannot wait for the next book. So I highly recommend this. These are kind of like 3 different worlds, definitely, and different styles of writing and different characters and just different motivations, different everything are in these 3 books. So if you're into rom-com, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days kind of vibes in terms of like feels, you know, not story. The Academy, Gossip Girl vibes, not the same story but the feels. And Alchemy of Secrets, kind of like Wicked, but not story, it's not a musical, but those like feelings of like, and the way that things are described and stuff. It's kind of magical in that way. So I hope that helps. I feel like that might be a new thing that I start with, recommending books and letting you know what they feel like as a TV show or a movie, how I think, because I haven't really heard anyone do that, and I would want to know. So those are the 3, and I'm obsessed with them. It feels so good to be back into reading. I just feel like myself. I feel like I have so much peace when I'm reading, and it just feels so good, and it's not like this unhealthy escape, but it's just a joy that I have for story, and I always have, I think, deep down since I was little. And I'm, you know, married a man who tells stories for a living, and I think God allowed that on purpose because he's helped me a lot. So anywho, we're not going to get all emotional on this one. My goal today is to continue reading the book that I started yesterday. And where is it? I didn't know how emotionally prepared I was, but you know, I just dove right in and I did it because I've started this book twice, The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and I stopped like 20-30 pages in because I was like, I'm not emotionally ready for this. And if you've heard, I've heard this is such a good book, but it's like really emotional and it's beautiful, and I just was not there. I needed to start a little lighter, a little, you know, easier in terms of emotion. So went with those three. I think this is like the perfect next book. Also, I'm going on a trip soon, and I think having this, I don't know if I'll finish it before, but if I don't, that will be great, and I'll bring another one if I like finish it along the way. I love reading when I'm traveling. It's one of my favorite things, and I love a thick book when I'm traveling. So anyway, this book gonna be turned into a movie. It's historical fiction, which I have never read before, and that's also why I was kind of like, am I gonna actually like that? I am now 63 pages in, and it's so beautifully written. She describes things so well and just so easy. It just feels like butter in my mind, like making the scenes easy to picture. Apparently it's going to be made into a movie. It says soon to be a major motion picture, and I'm excited about that. However, we all know books before movies is generally the way to go. So I'm trying to finish this. I don't even know who's starring in it. I don't want to know any of that. I really just want to read this. I've heard nothing but great things about this book and her other books. And I think, you know, it's time. It's time we graduate to something like this, and I'm really excited about it. Rosie. Come here. Come here. Oh my. I'm still trying to figure out like how I want these vlogs, videos, books, how I want it to all go together. I know everyone does so many different things, and I'm trying not to compare, and I'm trying to just figure out what feels good to me and what feels natural to me and what is me. And you can be, obviously, with art and creativity, everyone is endlessly like inspired by other people and what they do, and it's just a different way of doing it, but it's still the same thing, if that makes sense. So I'm just trying to find my way.